If your fasting blood sugar is creeping higher and higher and you're in menopause, I know exactly what you're thinking. Am I becoming pre-diabetic? But here's something that your doctor probably didn't discuss with you. A high fasting blood sugar doesn't always mean the same thing for every woman over 45. And if you react the wrong way, you could actually make your numbers trend worse. So hi, I'm Anna, and today I'm going to break down what a high fasting blood sugar can mean in menopause when you're not officially diagnosed with diabetes, and when you actually need to start to worry. But before we dive in, I just want to ask you something. If you've ever had your annual physical and you've gotten your fasting blood sugar result back and you see a high number, what's your first instinct? Drop a comment and let me know. Do you immediately cut carbs? Do you skip a meal? Do you start to do more cardio? And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe because I'm about to save you from making some very common mistakes. So most women, when they see a high fasting blood sugar, immediately panic. They think of diabetes and they start to cut out carbs, skip breakfast, and increase cardio. And while these may be considered some healthy things to do, it can actually make your numbers trend worse. Fasting glucose is just a context-dependent number. It reflects what happened in your body overnight, not just what you ate today or yesterday. As a registered nurse, I work exclusively with menopausal women, and I help them learn about their glucose by adding in a continuous glucose monitor inside my practice. And I've identified 3 very different patterns that can cause a high fasting glucose, and each one can require a completely different strategy. And here's what shocked me when I started wearing a glucose monitor myself and also monitoring my clients around the clock. The women panicked. When they panicked about a high blood sugar, those often had the most stable blood sugar during the day. And then the women with normal fasting blood sugars were riding a glucose roller coaster from breakfast to bedtime. One number alone tells you almost nothing. It's the pattern that tells you everything. And today I'm walking you through these 3 scenarios that can create a high fasting glucose. So scenario number 1 is the stress response. It can mimic prediabetes. Scenario number 2 is daytime instability that forces overnight compensation. And scenario number 3 is true declining insulin sensitivity and when to actually be concerned. So let's start with the most common pattern that I see. You've had a terrible night's sleep, work was stressful, maybe you skipped lunch or you did an intense workout. Your cortisol can spike overnight. Your liver will then release glucose and boom, your fasting blood sugar in the morning is high. But here's the key. During the day, your blood sugar can stay relatively stable despite that. And then you may not even crash after meals. You don't get afternoon sugar cravings. But overnight is when your cortisol is spiking. And this isn't really insulin resistance. This is all related to stress. And if you responded by cutting carbs and calories, you can actually make that stress response worse. And this is exactly why I created my blood sugar hacks cheat sheet. It shows you how to calm that morning cortisol spike naturally without restricting food. And you can grab it free. It's in the description below. And then scenario number 2 surprises a lot of women. Your fasting blood glucose is about 105, but the real problem is happening during the day. You spike after breakfast, and then you crash low mid-afternoon. You crave sugar. In the evening, in the afternoon, you're eating sugar and carbs, and then this instability forces your body to compensate overnight by releasing stored glucose. So your morning number can creep up, but it's actually reflecting the daytime chaos that your blood sugar experienced. And in this case, the solution isn't fewer carbs, it's stabilizing your protein intake and reducing those daytime spikes. So a quick question, do you notice your energy crashes in the afternoon, even after your morning blood sugar looked okay? So let me know in the comments because this pattern is more common than you think. And now, scenario number 3, it's where we actually start to pay attention. If your fasting blood sugar is consistently 105, 110, and you start seeing post-meal spikes that stay high for hours, energy crashes after eating, belly fat increasing despite your efforts to lose weight, then this can suggest that your metabolism is becoming less flexible. And this is where strength training, muscle preservation, structured monitoring is really critical, and close discussion with your doctor. It's not a panic strategy. So instead of asking, is a fasting blood sugar of 105 bad? Instead ask, what is this a part of? What is this pattern a part of? So because in menopause, trends can matter way more than isolated numbers, and context can change everything. So if your fasting glucose is hovering higher, trending higher, here's exactly where I start with my clients. First, we prioritize sleep before you restrict or change anything that you're eating. Second, make sure that you're getting 25 to 30 grams of good quality protein at every meal. And third, strength train at least 2 to 3 times a week. You can also take a short walk after dinner. You can start tracking your trends for 2 to 3 weeks before making any extreme changes. So cutting carbs is often the first step, but it's not necessarily the best step. Stabilizing your nervous system and preserving your muscle actually makes things work much better with your metabolism. And when I use continuous glucose monitors with my clients, I often see these patterns clear up within just a couple of weeks. Not from extreme dieting, it's just from understanding what their body is actually responding to. So this content is strictly for educational purposes only. It's not individualized medical advice. Always talk to your doctor about your personal health concerns. And again, that blood sugar cheat sheet that I mentioned gives you some tips that can help strategize your blood sugar management. And I help women to take the guesswork out of it through my 6-week program. It's called the Midlife Metabolic Reset, where we actually use continuous glucose monitoring so that you can see which pattern is happening in your body, because midlife metabolism requires data, not guesswork. So in next week's video, I'm revealing the 3 morning habits that quietly sabotage fasting glucose in menopause, even in women who think they're doing everything right. And one of them will probably surprise you. So make sure that you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if this video helped you understand your numbers and your metabolism in any way, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. I want to help and reach as many women as I can to help them through this metabolic chaos of midlife. So I'll see you in the next video.